This is the Instor Solution Spotlight, brought to you by the people empowering your data infrastructure. The Solution Spotlight allows us to shine the light on some of the most innovative and reliable solutions for your data center builds and infrastructure enhancements. And now, let's join our host, Jack Vonich, the CEO of Instor Solutions.
Welcome to the Instor Solutions Spotlight. We've designed these to allow you to learn about data infrastructure technology solutions. Our goal is to keep these streamlined and to the point so you can efficiently discover and discern your options. We're looking forward to presenting another excellent solution under the Instor Spotlight. Today we have Matt Baldesano with CommScope. He's going to be discussing their Propel solution. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Good day, Jack. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, you're in the spotlight. How about giving us 2 to 3 minutes on CommScope and the Propel solution?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on here. And we'll give you a quick intro on CommScope for those that don't know CommScope within the data center world. We're quite an old company, almost 40 years old. We pioneered all things wired and wireless for inside the building and outdoors, and specifically data center solutions are the area that I work, spend a lot of my time in, and I work to help our end users and customers out. So today we want to talk about Propel, which is our data center fiber platform built ground up for the new switches and electronic equipment that we're seeing now within the data center. And it's right size for large and small data center fit outs, and think it's going to be a nice platform to have in the market as we move forward.
Awesome. So what type of customers is the Propel solutions best suited for?
Sure. So what we think, so all things data center, but as we kind of segment that, we have multi-tenants, right, that have large base builds. They can use the modularity of Propel. We also have cloud and hyperscale customers, right, who like to build very, very large and very, very wide at the same time. And some of the efficiencies that Propel allows you to get really, really help them save time and save costs as it relates to building fit outs. One of the more interesting or unique or maybe developing markets are enterprises moving into hybrid cloud environments, right? So they need new equipment. They need to connect into on-ramps for their business critical needs. And we see many of these enterprises looking a little bit deeper into how they look at their physical layer fiber connectivity as it relates to the electronic equipment and the optics that they're choosing to use.
That totally makes some sense. Excellent. So what are the top benefits of choosing the Propel solution?
Well, we talk about Propel as being built from the ground up for equipment that we see on the market today. It's also backward, so we'll call that forward compatible with current technologies and future technologies. It also has a backward compatibility. To date, many of the networks that are installed, the fiber optic networks and data centers, have a common footprint, and we certainly support all the versions of modules, cables, and connectors and patch cords, right, for 8 fiber, 12 fiber, 16 fiber, and 24 fiber modules, right, that break out into duplex or 2 fiber connections through the modules that we have.
Yeah, that makes it pretty scalable. So that means that you're pretty much ready for any of the speeds that are coming up here in the future, right?
What we see is during migrations, right, when customers have to keep 2 sets of systems online, there's always going to be that point where those systems need to connect, right? And that cutover needs to happen. And we see Propel as being a platform that supports some of those migration cables that need to happen between physical spaces to get data transferred from point A to point B, and also that right size platform for that point B, which is your new infrastructure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What about this? I mean, it seems fairly simple, with the way the connectors work and such. How does that work on ease of installation? What are the key things that you guys look at from that perspective?
Sure. So I'll get a little gritty on you.
Okay.
So I work with a lot of installers, right? And installers like the ability to bring in cables and connectors from either the front side or the back of the cabinet.
Yeah. Right.
In certain installations, there are containment systems. In certain installations, there's space, right? There's walls. So what we like are the ability to get components in at any form factor, easily accessible from the front and the back. And this also helps during day two management and or troubleshooting, right? Where you need to go in and identify a real specific component within a channel. Propel has the labels and has the accessibility to do that without, without getting in the way of anything else that's running in production.
Yeah, that's super important. I know our installers run into that challenge a lot with some of the less modular options that are out there. So
Sure.
you can appreciate that when it comes down to making it easier.
Yep.
Excellent. What else? What other things on the benefit side of things?
Yeah. So what we like to Propel is quite nice because we'll talk about some of the future components, right? There are 8 and 16 fiber optics, which are quite prevalent today in designs that I see for data center switches, right? And those
Right.
8 and 16 fiber optics play really, really well into the networks that need to come into compute, whether they're compute pods or compute cabinets, right? Generally,
Right.
groups of 8 and 16 are quite efficient. 16 being twice as efficient as 8 because half as many components, cables, connectors, inspection scopes, cleaning tools, right? There's a
Right.
couple, there's a laundry list of small things that benefit 16 compared to 8 when you're doing a network that has high capacity and certainly more than groups of 4
Right.
for connections, right? We talk about connections in the hundreds of fibers, 3, 4, 500 fibers per pod, and 16 fibers delivers that a lot more efficiently
Yeah, I
than
can see
8
that.
fibers does, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a much more efficient way to go. What about performance on this system?
Yeah. So we in the really the breadth of CommScope, our performance is something that we pride ourselves on. Propel has an ultra low loss end face for both MPO and for LC, and that allows us to use an application assurance calculator, so you can pre-engineer your links and determine whether you're in standard within the standard scope and additional headroom that you might have to add more connection points, right? For some of those situations in which you have a complex link and you're building high capacity between two physical locations and it's quite complex. So Propel allows you, with its performance built in and our application assurance warranty that we have as a 25-year guarantee supporting components and labor. So it's quite a nice solution when you look to applications that you don't know you might need, but you want to have that insurance baked into your design.
Right. Did you say that there's an actual like an online tool, or is it a downloadable application? What is it that you use to calculate that?
Yeah, so in the CommScope website, commscope.com, in the resources and tools section, we have a fiber performance calculator link.
Oh, okay.
And that's downloadable. And what that allows you to do is to pick your components and determine the application that you're looking to run. You know, people talk about 100 gig or 400 gig or 800 gig, and you can determine whether you'll have a thumbs up based on the distance and number of connection points, or
Right.
whether you might need to choose a different power transceiver to achieve that application.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's pretty clever. And we talked a little bit about scalability with this. So if you start pushing this stuff to hyperscale, how does this fit into the hyperscale side of things?
Yeah, so hyperscalers, when they talk about scalability, they're back to the density game. So one of the things that they really appreciate is the kind of the pre-terminated ability to do very, very high dense solutions, right? So they want their cake and they want to eat it too. One of the nice features of Propel is there's a connector that we have on our modules called an SN connector, and that connector allows you to do double the fiber density which is generally available through duplex connections today, right? So 144 fibers or 72 duplex connections is what we call ultra dense. And that's an industry kind of standard. We're able to double that to 288 fibers via 100.
What kind of rack footprint is that?
So that's the same footprint as Propel. It's just a module which allows for SN connectivity on the front.
Wow.
It still has the MPO8, MPO12, MPO16, or MPO24 footprint on the back. So
okay.
you can design networks that fit the footprint of your cable trunk to the density of the connectors that you need.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. So what are the most important factors your customers should use in determining whether to use the Propel solution?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anyone who's connecting or interfacing with new electronics today, right? So that's kind of a broad brush here, but anyone who's considering some of the smaller form factor switches that we see, which are becoming a little bit more publicly available. Those are 1 and 2 use switches. We see port counts, from 32 to 64 and above. And generally, those switches have much higher radix than previous versions of switches. Therefore, you can do a lot more capacity from those switches. You can, some of the moving from one generation to another generation, you can go from 6 switches to 2 switches. What that does, it's incredible on what their what some of the switch capacity is really pushing out there. But what they don't tell you, the electronics manufacturers, that you need both high performance and accessible cabling to make use of that capacity. Right?
Gotcha.
So what used to be a one-to-one or a point-to-point connection are now point to multi-point connections through some of the optics and some of the electronics that we see available.
Gotcha.
Today.
And your solution is compatible with any of these newest solutions that are coming out from the switch guys.
It's built for 800 gig and terabit installations, and certainly backward compatible with 400 gig, 100 gig, 50 gig, 25 gig, and other speeds that we see from the Ethernet Alliance. The Ethernet Alliance puts out quite a long roadmap of Ethernet speeds that they're achieving to make standardized.
Right.
And we see that through 2018, 2019, 100 gig was really the standard, and that was really in the form of a 2 fiber connection, right? As we move to 200, 400, and then 1.6 terabit, there's only so much capacity you can put on 2 fibers within a short, right size for the space that you are looking to connect, right? And data centers within the building are generally 500 meters, and campuses go up to a couple of kilometers. So how does the Ethernet Alliance come up with connectors and electronics that work together and are commercially available?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it definitely sounds like you're keeping on top of it. I've seen some of your folks on the TIA calls that I've been on, so I know you're definitely leading the charge when it comes to industry standards and that kind of thing. So what makes the CommScope solution unique? I know a few of the things you've already mentioned probably fall into this category. You want to just kind of run through it one more time, just to specifically call it out?
Absolutely. So as an ultra low loss platform, and I mentioned that, what that allows you to do is increase the number of connection points within long and complex links that have high capacity data. So that would be one. The second piece is we're fully backward compatible with any 2 fiber all the way up to 24 fiber connector or application. So as I mentioned, 8 and 16 fiber, those are usually application-based fiber pairing. And then when we talk about 12 and 24 fiber, generally those are trunking systems that are legacy, to now have been quite the norm for data center pre-term installs.
Sure. Hey, I noticed too when I was looking at your website before our call here, you guys do use QR codes also with that. How does that work out? What does that work out for?
Thanks for bringing that up. And from an installation perspective, we've tossed, or we've did away with printing out test data from our factory. And what we now do is we allow that data to be found, and generally we look at that data when we do installations from a QR code. That brings us to a C-Track platform, which is our platform that allows for factory test data to be mapped to component data that you install. So that's one of the features for QR coding. As Propel becomes even smarter and more intelligent, there's also data on that QR code that can be used and mapped into other intelligent databases that allows you to build designs and build tracking systems for components and for connections. So
that could be huge. I know when we're doing migrations for customers, that whole cord management thing and all of that, if that ends up becoming something that we can use for that, that would be a pretty big plus for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be great when you're able to basically scan the components and then upload those to a database as inventory management and component management, and then in some instances real-time circuit monitoring through intelligent components. When that's available, it's going to be a really cool feature.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right. So look, why don't we recap a couple of things? What are some key takeaways just to make sure that people leave this video knowing what's really important about your Propel solution?
I think first and foremost, if you're considering any type of switching platform, which is smaller form factor and higher capacity, you have to be looking at Propel. From a mechanical perspective and from a performance perspective, there are certainly a lot of features that make it easy and make it quite simple to design and to install to these newer components. I would say that's the first. The second is if you are going wide as either a hyperscaler or a cloud, and you need repeatability and you want simplicity, Propel allows you to put just the right amount of fiber where you need it to go in any form factor without having to purchase additional special shells for the different fiber components. So that modularity makes it really, really simple. And certainly it can allow you to specify on a platform and specify on the density and specify on the design, maybe before you know the modules that you're going to be choosing to build. And if you have trouble in these days as an insurance policy for having to pivot from one type of component to another, we see that all the time as reality. This shelf allows you to do that without having to rip and replace anything.
That's definitely valuable.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think we've covered it. We've covered a lot. One of the other unique benefits that I see from a design perspective is that in some of the common designs for containment systems these days that we see in data centers, they can vary, I see them, up to 40 cabinets, from 8 cabinets to 40 cabinets, and anywhere in between.
That is really true.
The efficiency of Propel to bring in fiber, as I mentioned, the right amount of fiber and the right amount of cables to support any number of connections per cabinet, whether that's 2, 4, 8, or 16, or even higher, make Propel a really, really cute option to have the right hammer for the tool, right hammer for the job, I should say.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I mean, that fantastic solution. Really appreciate it, Matt. Thanks so much for talking to us about CommScope's Propel solution.
Thanks very much, Jack, for having me.
Hey, great having you on here. All right. Well, that closes out this session of the Instor Solution Spotlight. Our team of experts are here to help you sort through making these critical decisions. So please don't hesitate to schedule a free consultation. That's it for this session. We'll see you next time in the Spotlight.
Thank you for joining us for this session of the In-Store Solution Spotlight, brought to you by the people empowering your data infrastructure. The Solution Spotlight allows us to shine the light on some of the most innovative and reliable solutions for your data center builds and infrastructure enhancements. We look forward to seeing you again for another session of the In-Store Solution Spotlight.